70 million people in the world stutter today. They all have their own unique stuttering story. 3,000 of them have finally had a chance to tell their personal story without stuttering right after they completed their 3-day intensive study course of the psychophysical training in the Etalon program classroom and eliminated their stuttering forever. Here is a story of Paul from the Netherlands. Before he eliminated his lifetime stuttering, could pass many job interviews and obtained a job of his dreams, he spoke like this.
I don't understand what is neju. As far as I understood, I shouldn't try to for example, speak a word until I'm clear. I clearly know what this word is. Because now I just try to say a word, but I haven't even read it fully.
Now listen to a confident speaker, Stutter-Free Paul, telling his personal stuttering story only 3 days later.
So I start stuttering at about 3 or 4 years old, and now I'm 27, so it's been a while. My father always told me that I seem to have thought too fast and I couldn't speak so fast, and that's how he explained my issue, at least how it looked for him. My teacher used to clap me if I said something good without a stutter, and that was quite abusing. My first therapist tried to teach me how to hold my lips, because I also had a problem of speaking, making sounds clear. I was not clear in sounds like sh, sh. So they taught me how to do that correctly, and also they were told that I have a stutter, so they can also teach me how to speak fluently as well. If I stuttered, then they asked me to repeat something.
This is exactly what the main stutterer's mistake of a backward movement is. Your speech therapist was practically teaching you to stutter. In fact, she was trying to cure stuttering by teaching you to stutter, to repeat again the sounds that you have already said.
Since then, I had a couple of therapies where they tried to work on my fear of speaking. So I had to make calls, I had to go to public places and speak to people I don't know.
Yeah, but they didn't teach you how to speak. Therefore, you could not speak correctly with these kind of instructions. No matter how hard you were fighting your fears, it was impossible to overcome them. Because the more you spoke, the more mistakes you made. They forced you to speak more at the time when you simply did not know how to do it. And you faced awkward situations more and more and became worried even more. Speech therapists should have never done this to you. It's the same as if a child was forced to do something that he has never been taught. This is how people who stutter develop neurosis. It's because of what speech therapists make them do. I consider such methods as a civil and professional crime. You cannot throw an untrained soldier under a tank. Forcing a stutterer to speak to others without adequate speech training is the same as forcing a young soldier to fight on a battlefield without prior adequate military training. It's like sending an employee without any professional preparation to work in the hazardous industry where he may get injured. The only difference is that a stutterer damages his mind as he attempts to fight his totally rational fears. He realizes in advance that it is impossible not to be afraid of doing things that he has no idea how to do correctly. It is a voluntary self-deception and self-conviction. If I overcome my fear, then I will learn to speak and will speak correctly. However, these two things are not linked at all. One can be a fearless stutterer who still stutters, but the other one may be a coward who doesn't stutter. There are many people who fear to do various things, but they speak just fine. And there are fearless stutterers who go like you did and stutter in front of people. They are not afraid of making a fool of themselves. So it really doesn't matter whether you are fearful or not for the quality of your speech. What's important is whether you know how to speak correctly or you don't, and whether you follow the natural speech rules or you don't.
Also, I use some kind of natural medications, like some herbal stuff, and the idea was that I should be more calm, but it didn't help, so we dropped it.
Yeah, this is similar. It doesn't matter for the quality of your speech whether you drink anything or take any meds. When you don't know how to speak correctly, you will make speech mistakes in any condition, sober or not. If you know how to speak correctly, you will always do this, even after drinking a whole bottle of alcohol or a bunch of medications. But if you don't know how to speak correctly, you will make mistakes even in a sober condition without drinking alcohol or taking any meds. You simply need to know how to speak correctly, but no one ever explained to you what the correct speech is and what you should do in order to produce it correctly. Note that the moment you understood what exactly you should do in speech, you began producing correct speech right away without any prior exercise or lengthy training. It's like with a traffic sign on the road. Right after you noticed a speed limit marker of 60 kilometers per hour, you will immediately begin driving your car correctly in accordance with the traffic rules. The same goes for speaking. The moment you understand what exactly you must do to produce correct speech, you immediately begin performing correct speaking actions from this moment on. You no longer make mistakes, and your speech becomes correct instantly.
When I was 9 years old, around that age, I tried a couple of hypnoses. My parents thought that they helped, but they helped like for one day and they just minimized my stutter, but they didn't remove it. Also, I used a couple of DAW devices, like I use a program Brief Maker, which is a DAW, and you have to practice each day for 2 hours or a little bit less, but the effect of it wear off quite quickly. In a couple of weeks, it seemed like it was working less and less for me. Then I also bought a portable DAW device. I think it's called Stutter-Free. It helped me also maybe for 3 months. It didn't eliminate my stutter, but what it did, it lowered it. So I felt more confident using that device, but after 3 months, again, the effect wore off and I even stopped using it at all because it didn't influence my speech at all after that.
Did you speak with a headset?
Well, I used the headset during the therapy, but after that, it also somehow worked for some time. Even when I removed the headset, it worked out for 4 days. Then I had another session and I bought it. Then it started to work shorter and shorter after the session, and after some time it just stopped working at all.
It never worked from the start. It appeared working in the beginning, yes, simply because you got involved in the process of production of your own speech. You started controlling consciously your speech quality, paying attention to what you were pronouncing, but right after you stopped controlling your speech, hoping for the device to do the job for you, all the magic of this device disappeared, and you returned to your lack of knowing what exactly you were supposed to do in order to speak correctly. Using of any speech device by a stutterer who has a physical ability to speak but simply doesn't know how to do it correctly is as irrational as if a person physically capable to walk on his own would use a crutch for walking.
Yes, I worked for several years in Vilnius, and there was an international company, and I had to speak English quite a lot. And then worst thing began to happen. It really depended on the language which I spoke. When I had to speak more English, then my language became worse. However, when I spoke my native language with my parents, girlfriend, and so on, my speech was better, although it wasn't perfect. I still stuttered, depending on the day. A couple of years after that, I decided that I need to continue my education, and therefore I moved to the Netherlands, where now I'm studying my master's. I have problems in exams at the university now because I have to speak English a lot and I have to consult with my thesis supervisor, and even when we are both in a class, I still cannot explain things very good to him. Also, I avoided to do public speaking in the classrooms in a university. I used to give assignments to other people, so I invested more time in preparing everything. So writing reports and doing more investigation while I gave the presentation to somebody else. I work at the same time, and I see that work environment is quite challenging, especially when somebody new comes into the environment, and when I have to speak with a client, although I don't do it most of the time. I just make projects in a team. So now I plan to finish this summer my degree, and also I look for another job. So this time is really challenging for me because I have many interviews, and I'm planning to stay also here in the Netherlands for at least a couple of years more. Also, I have a girlfriend in Lithuania, and she is also planning to come here with me. When I saw this program on a Facebook group, I was very skeptical about it. And now it really works, and I'm very happy with the results I made so far, because I'm totally fluent at the moment. So currently my speech is very good, and I hope that I can keep it like that in the future.
This could be you, verbalizing your story without stuttering too, in only 3 days.